everybody. So I decided that I wanted to make a video on Dhanurasana because I think it's pretty essential to the second series process of opening the heart, the shoulders, the hips, the back, everything. So one thing that I notice a lot that students do is they look at what they're trying to create visually, and they kind of conform their body to that position, but they don't really take into account the work that needs to happen below the surface, and so they miss out. And Dhanurasana is a great pose, especially considering the fact that like a few poses down you're going to be doing Kapotasana, so you might as well find some of the prep work to Kapotasana in your Dhanurasana. So first things first, I did make a video on like Shalabhasana and Bekasana and how you can find leverage from the earth without having to strain the upper body to pull back. The same rule would apply here. You want to find your root from your belly and use that as a buoyant point to lift off the ground. So you're not straining the back and tensing the back to do your back bend, but you're relaxing into the ground and letting the earth kind of push you back up. Okay, so that would be the first point that I want to make with Dhanurasana here. And then also, when students go for the toes together, the problem with that is they tend to jar the knees a lot and they block the opening of the hip flexor. So I was actually taught to bring the heels together. Now, if you can bring the heels together comfortably, then eventually you can work the whole foot together. But in the beginning, you want to just work the heels. And instead of thinking about pointing the toes, try to create space in the toes and bring the ball of the foot to the ceiling so that you're extending energy through the full expression of the foot. And then in the first version, you're actually not going to bring the chest up. You're going to let the chest roll forward and bring the feet up. So again, people have a tendency to do this when actually you want to roll forward and bring the legs up instead. So that's the first thing I want to point out. And then as you do that, try to relax the upper body, like intentionally relax it forward and use those legs to go up. Now, if you're really struggling with this, trying to find opening, it's probably because you have a hip flexor tightness going on. So again, we want to keep that pelvis neutral by disengaging the hip flexor. And we want to make sure that we're not cranking the low back. So make sure that there's no contraction of the buttocks going on, all right? When you point the toe, you tend to contract the butt more. When you extend through the ball of the foot, you tend to lengthen out the back body, all right? So one thing you can do if you're struggling to find space in this pose is you can bring the legs way out this way. So then you kind of feel how things can just kind of open naturally. Now, obviously in Ashtanga, we're here, but start from this position so you can just feel the front body open and then slowly work towards bringing those heels together and then up as your chest goes forward. So from the side, it would look like this. So instead of being here, we're here. Big difference. And then the other version that you can practice is just engaging the legs and taking the body a little bit more parallel to the ground. So you would actually take the ankles, flex your feet, take your shins back. And then now you're really kind of rolling on your frontal hip points. But that's going to work your quadriceps. All right? So you don't want to bring the toes together like that. Heels. It's a very different feeling in general. So I hope that those tips were helpful and that you can find some more space. And I know it's hard to disengage the upper body, but the more you can disengage the upper body and relax those shoulder girdles and find space in your chest, the easier Kapotasana is going to be when it arrives. All right? And that was all. Bye.